Matthew 26:26-29. In the closing hours before his arrest, Jesus gathered with his disciples to observe the Passover. This setting is essential for understanding the significance of what follows. Passover commemorated Israel's deliverance from Egypt through the blood of the Lamb, when judgment passed over the houses marked by sacrifice. Within that ancient feast, Jesus instituted something greater, the reality toward which Passover had always pointed. Matthew writes, open quote, "And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, 'Take, eat, this is my body.' And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, 'Drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.'" Close quote. The actions of Jesus during this meal revealed a transition between two covenant worlds. Israel had long lived under the covenant established through Moses, sealed with the blood of sacrifices. At Sinai, Moses took the blood of and declared, "Behold the blood of the covenant." That covenant governed the nation with its priesthood, temple, sacrifices, and ceremonial system. Yet those sacrifices could never fully remove sin. They served as continual reminders of it. When Jesus lifted the cup and said, "This is my blood of the new covenant," he was announcing the imminent establishment of a new covenant foretold by the prophets. Jeremiah spoke of a covenant unlike the one made when Israel came out of Egypt, a covenant in which sins would be remembered no more. Jesus identified his own blood as the blood that would establish that covenant. The bread that he broke represented his body. The Passover lamb had to be slain for deliverance to occur, and Jesus now identified himself with that sacrificial role. Just as the lamb's death had shielded Israel from judgment in Egypt, his coming death would accomplish the true removal of sin. The imagery was deliberate. The deliverance of Exodus was a shadow, but the cross would bring the reality. Matthew emphasizes that his blood was shed for many for the remission of sins. Under the Old Covenant, sacrifices covered sin symbolically and temporarily. The repetition of sacrifices showed that the problem had not been fully resolved. But the shedding of Christ's blood would accomplish what those sacrifices could only anticipate: the complete remission of sin. The language of remission reflects the removal, cancellation, and release from the burden of sin. This statement also reveals the nature of the new covenant itself. The covenant would not rest upon the repeated works of priests offering animals, but upon a single, sufficient sacrifice. What the law demanded but could never produce, Christ would accomplish through his death. The remission promised by the prophets would come through his blood. Jesus then spoke of the future fulfillment of the kingdom. He said he would not drink again of the fruit of the vine until he drank it new with them in his Father's kingdom. This statement placed his death and the coming kingdom within the same unfolding redemptive moment. The kingdom he spoke of was not detached from the events about to occur. Rather, his death would inaugurate the covenantal reality of that kingdom. Throughout his ministry, Jesus proclaimed that the kingdom of heaven was at hand. The disciples stood at the threshold of the climactic events that would bring the old covenant age to its conclusion and establish the promised covenant in its fullness. His death, resurrection, and the events that followed would confirm that transition. The imagery of the meal, therefore, carries profound covenantal meaning. The bread pointed to the offering of his body. The cup pointed to the blood that would seal the covenant. The promise of drinking again pointed to the realization of the kingdom that had been foretold throughout Israel's scriptures. Thus, within a Passover meal rooted in Israel's past, Jesus revealed the fulfillment of everything the feast symbolized. The true lamb was present among them. The true deliverance was about to occur, and the covenant promised by the prophets was about to be established through the shedding of his blood.